Gentlemen, this is Don Ferris, Chairman of the Homer Village Planning Board, and I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:34 p.m. on September 22, 2021. The first item of business is the application for Arbor Brooks Flats LLC, also known as D Street, for a revision to their PDD plan. And if Tim Buell or Vince would like to address the board, go ahead.
Yeah, let me.
There you go.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
I hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I guess Tim looks like he's still trying to get in. So I guess for the sake of keeping the thing moving, we will, I'll kind of jump in when he comes. We'll let him kind of take over.
Recording in progress.
So we are requesting a change to the project that was previously approved. The only change to it, really, there's one change to it, is we had some difficulty with the condominium process, and instead of putting this project forward as a condominium project, what we'd like to do is put it forward with the revised drawings and the revised plan that we submitted to the village a couple of weeks ago that the county just reviewed. That's really the only change to the project at all. It's a structural change on how the project would move forward. Other than that, the number of buildings, the locations of the buildings, everything associated with all those things are all the same. There would be, it's a zero lot line, so there would be same thing, the garden homes, patio homes, duplexes. So there would be small portions of the land that will be deeded to the folks that are buying the units, according to the drawing that we submitted. Other than that, really everything else is exactly the same. So Don, if you do have questions, I'll try to answer them, and hopefully Tim will maybe be able to get in and do a little bit better job. But
Okay, do any of the board members have any questions on this? Nothing?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, you are Mr. Gardner?
I am.
Okay,
It's a little unclear to me if it's not moving forward as a condo project. What do you call the project then? Are they going to be units for sale, for fee ownership?
correct. They'd be a traditional, would be a traditional project where a traditional duplex project where people would buy the individual units and the land surrounding them to the map. But it would be just like any other housing project, if you will.
Okay, so each individual owner would be then responsible for the maintenance of his grounds.
Yeah, we're actually exploring a couple different elements within that. But yes, for sure, without question, yes, we are exploring a couple other possibilities to maybe combine some of that maintenance and do some things along those lines to just make it easier for people. I think people would find that a little bit easier, but we haven't worked out all those details yet. We very recently decided to pull the submission to the AG's office for the condos, and that's when we decided to go forward. So we thought we would make sure we would do it, and then we'll continue to work out those details.
All right, if I could just ask a question. I know a while back, there was a meeting, I guess, or a consideration of the village board about taking over the maintenance of the roads in that project. Has the village taken over the maintenance, or is that still the responsibility of the owners of the property?
We currently still own the road, and we'll be discussing with the village as we go forward with the project, whether we do dedicate that road, and the village does want to accept it. That is a possibility within it, but as it is now, no, we still have the road, and it's still part of the property.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Don, I have a quick question. What are the price range of the condos, and are there apartments?
I'll answer the second one, the second part first. There are no apartments. They're two bedroom, 2 or 2.5 bath patio homes built on slabs, same thing as they were before. Exact same build, layout, and structure as it was before. All of the buildings are exactly the same. So there are no, it's all privately owned. There is no apartments included within this. There was, I think, in a previous submittal and approval, but not in this. So everything is laid out in exactly the same manner and position as it was when the planning board approved the last submission to this. As far as the price ranges, materials have gone absolutely crazy, and so we are working pretty hard at trying to keep things down. We initially targeted a sale price of we believed around $215,000, I think is where we're targeting. I think we're a little bit above that now, but I don't think we're significantly above that. Our target is to try to build these things at an affordable level. So that's where we are. Eric's still working the numbers pretty hard, and still going through and trying to put everything in place. And we are still working with all the utilities and those kinds of things, because there's some pretty big costs associated with bringing those in. But we're still very close to that range.
And I have one more follow-up question with that. Is there an HOA fee with these condos?
Currently now, because there isn't a homeowners association associated with it. With the condo, there would have been, and we would have, had an HOA, and that's part of the submission and budgets and everything associated with it. As we've removed that submission, we are evaluating structures for maintenance and things like that that we may put forward as we move the project forward. But right now, no, there is no HOA fee on top of it.
Okay, so the village will have to be responsible for that then?
Well, no, it's no different than any other property owner.
Vince, this zero lot line is a relatively new concept around here, at least for those of us who've been around a long time. Maybe the newer, younger people are used to that, a zero lot line. The buildings are as being 2 units. What does the individual owner own? The common wall, they own inside the walls, or that's just, and it really doesn't impact, I guess, what we decide here, but because it is allowed. It's more of a curiosity thing for me.
Tim, maybe I'll let you. I see you're on.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll let you field the engineering questions.
Sure. Hi, Joni.
Hi, Tim.
The zero lot line thing is just like a condo, just like what we had before. The only thing difference is that the lot lines were only in the building footprints. And in this particular case with a subdivision, we're extending the lot lines out further to the exterior so people can have their own gardens and take care of what they want, their own plantings and landscaping. It'll be the same principle as what the zero lot lines are in other zoning ordinances. It's just, I don't know, I came late and I think Vince explained why we're doing this, but it seemed like an appropriate thing to do, and it's not going to impact the project density or roads or driveways or anything else. It's all the same as it was. It's just the ownership is going to be a little different.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else? Anything they want to add? Any questions?
I have
Yeah.
one more. Oh, go ahead.
Well,
Hi.
it's Kevin. I just had a question, Don, with regard to the county's review.
Yes.
If memory serves me correct, was there an issue with parking sizes?
Not on Arbor Brook Flats.
Okay.
I think we addressed that, Kevin.
What's that, Tim?
I think we addressed the parking lot sizes at the last iteration. Everybody was happy with it.
No, I was thinking because of the zero lot line that it may have impacted some, but I don't have the county's review in front of me, so that's why I
Okay.
brought it up.
I don't think they brought it up. No.
I
Okay.
had that here. Let me just take a quick look through.
I've got it too. Maybe I can find it.
It,
Uh,
because they go back to 2000 and whatever. In March of 2020, the proposed parking lot for the two fourplex building provide a minimum of 8 spaces. That was in the recommendations back in March of 2020. And we approved, the approval we gave at that time included that, Kevin. I don't see
No,
any, there's nothing
I may
in,
be confusing it with another project, but I was thinking the parking space sizes was brought up for something, and it may not even be this project.
that's the next project.
Okay. And then the last comment or question I would have for probably Vince would be, without an HOA on this project, then will there be deed covenants?
unmute yourself, Vince.
Yeah, Kevin, there will be. Yeah, Kevin, we will have deed covenants in there to cover those situations, yes.
Okay. Right now, that's all I got, folks.
Okay.
Don, I've got one more question for
Fire
him.
away.
Will the village be responsible for water and streetlights at this location?
For which now? Water and what?
Water and streetlights.
I believe so.
Yeah, I can answer that. The plan is to dedicate the water and sewer lines that'll be in the street line. In fact, we had a meeting with Buzz and everybody over there a couple months ago about it. And the streetlights would be part of the district that's in the village. So the taxes would pay for, you'd have water and sewer usage that would be paid for through sewer and water bills. And then the street lighting district, I think, adds it out to your taxes, as I recall.
We don't really have a street light district. It's just the whole village is covered under street lighting,
Okay.
Tim. So, yeah, I believe that's the case. I
I think there's only 3 lights. There's one at the T and one at the circles at the ends, and there's one up. There might be a 4th. Oh, there's already an existing one out with the roads coming in out of Route 11.
There is the village will also provide garbage pickup. These will be taxed. That was another situation that condominiums used to receive a much more favorable tax bill than stuff like zero lot line units or conventional homes.
Excuse me, are you saying it's going to be dedicated to others or to the village? Dedicated to whom?
The village.
The village, thank you.
Now, Tim, do
Do we
you,
know the estimated cost for the streetlights and water?
We're building all those. In fact, the water and sewer are already in. The developer pays for those and turns them over.
Okay.
the street light may become a village expense? The poles.
That's what I was thinking.
They may be.
Yeah, you guys like special poles, don't you? Forget about that.
Well, in
We do.
that area, we do not. If you're not in the downtown, if you're not in a historic district, we don't do the fancy poles, but we have gone to all LED lights.
Just for a point of order, the village has taken control over all lighting within the jurisdiction. Like Don says, they're all being switched out to LEDs. That project is continuing, but the responsibility of pole and of lights will be a village responsibility moving forward.
Okay. Thank you, Dan.
So Dan, real quick, they'll be appealing, right?
Sorry?
The poles will be appealing, right? The lighting poles?
But just, there'll be the standard poles that are out amongst the other residential areas of the village. I don't believe that any kind of ornamental poles like we have on Main Street and a few other places will be set up.
On a Zoom call, I have to call you.
Does that clarify,
Tim-
Ashley? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Dan.
I just want to make sure they're going to be nice looking.
We will aim to please.
Thanks, Dan.
Tim, are you going to have to revise the sewer and water laterals within the development?
Yeah, that's already been laid out and done in the plans that were approved. But in other words, the building's locations changed and the style of them changed. The mains are in, but we have some of the laterals, not all of them, but some of them we have to put new laterals in for both the sewer laterals and the water services. And that's in the plans that were approved. We've shown those.
So that means you're going to dig the street up again.
Yeah, well, it's only binder, so a couple places.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. If the board is ready to make a motion on, we have to do another impact assessment, short form impact assessment again. Joan?
I'm not the attorney. I would say
Dante?
not because you already did it on what was approved.
But they're changing it now. Do we have to?
Yeah, I would recommend it, guys, just because it's the physical thing is the same, but it's now a subdivision instead of a condo project, which is
Yeah,
not all that
Don, there's a
different.
couple of things that I'd like you to do for this project. Recommendations that I'd like you to go through. One, there is a public hearing notice on the agenda.
No, there's not.
At least on the agenda, it looks like.
Yeah, but it was never advertised.
Okay. And I don't know why there would need to be at this stage. For the subdivision final approval, we'll need to go through that. But at this stage, they're still under the preliminary PDD plans. But yeah, I'd like you to go through the county recommendations as well as doing a short form seeker. It's an unlisted action, so the short form should probably suffice, but you'll have to go through that as well. But I'd like you to ratify or review and evaluate the county recommendations as well.
All right.
You have your resolution, right?
Resolution number 21-31.
That's right.
Okay. I guess you want me to read the whole thing?
No.
No?
the recommendations.
Just the recommendations. Okay, recommendation number 1, that the applicant proceed with the development of a final subdivision plat based exclusively on the design features presented in this preliminary subdivision plat, subject to those changes which will be agreed upon at the time of the preliminary plat review. 2, that the final subdivision plat conforms to the requirements described in the Code of the Village of Homer 198-16 submission requirements. 3, that all items required by the Village of Homer Planning Board in Action 14 and 15 of 2020 be followed. 4, compliance with seeker requirements. 5, that the village take into consideration the maintenance pertaining to the approved SWIP and requires a supermajority if we override or don't abide by those 4 or 5 items.
Don, the paragraph before those recommendations is important. Resolve.
The board resolved, the board recommends approval of the application for a major subdivision for the purpose of subdividing a previously approved planned unit development district into one with 0 lot line condo ownership model. The approval of this application is contingent on the following. There, thanks.
Mhm.
I just jumped ahead. I was expediting. Okay, does anybody have any comments or questions on those recommendations before we go into short form? Okay. We need to do this, the part 2 impact assessment.
I have it ready.
Will you read, please read?
I will. Do you have your copy to make the notations on?
I certainly do. I
Usually-
just printed it off while you were doing something else.
Okay. Part 2 of the short environmental assessment form. Number 1, the answers are either no or small impact or moderate to large impact. Number 1, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? Column number 1 or column number 2? Hello?
You're muted, Don.
Oh. Does everybody know?
Okay. I vote yes.
It's either no or small impact.
No or small, no impact.
Okay, so you're a no.
Yeah.
Okay,
I agree. Exactly.
okay.
Actually.
I agree, and it's Paula. I agree. This is Jessica.
Okay, all are no.
Okay.
Number 2, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of the land?
No.
This is Paula. No.
No for Ashley.
I'm gonna say there's a small impact.
Well, it's no or small.
No or small is in the left-hand column.
Oh, okay. Then no, I
Okay.
guess.
We
Okay.
should get everybody a set of these to look at and just have them laminated, a laminated set for everybody to look at and keep in their file.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's only one page, double-sided. Number 3, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
I'm a no on
No.
that.
No for Ashley too.
No for Paula.
No for Jessica.
Number 4, you do not have a critical environmental area there, am I correct?
No, it's not designated, I don't believe.
Yeah. So that one's automatically a no. Number 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways?
No.
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 Number 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
Don, no.
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 Okay. Number 7, will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies?
Don, no.
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 7B, public or private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
No.
Number 8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
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 Number 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? For example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna?
No.
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 Number 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
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 Nope.
And number 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
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 Okay,
No.
you indicated no on all of those. So that means you need a motion for a negative declaration.
I'll motion for a negative declaration. This is
Okay.
Paula.
Uh-huh.
And I'll second Paula. It's Ashley.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay,
Got it.
carried. I gotta check the second box, right?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. And now, entertain a motion to approve the changes subject to the conditions 1 through 5.
You want to incorporate those?
Yeah, incorporating the 5 conditions in resolution number 21-31.
Yeah, well, you've already complied with 4.
Well, didn't we also,
Who made the motion?
we haven't yet. I'm asking for a motion.
Oh.
Anybody want to move approval? Looks like everybody's muted.
I'll make a motion to approve, Don. It's Ashley.
Ashley moves to approve.
I'll second her motion. It's Paula.
Oh, okay. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Don?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor, all four are in favor. Motion carried. All right. Just a quick one. There is a SWIP plan. We're all set. Okay, that takes care of number 1, Arbor Brook Flats. We can continue to the item 2 on the agenda, and that is application of DM3 properties, 19-27 North Main Street, for site plan review for interior renovation for a restaurant on the first floor with a commercial kitchen, new 2-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor, and minor upgrades to the apartments on the 2nd floor. Who's here to speak for DM3?
I guess that would be me, Alton Ainsley. I'm the architect working with DM3 Properties. And as explained on the application, there's a renovation to the building at, I guess that would be like 25 North Main. 27 North Main was an older building that, due to structural inadequacy, that building was torn down. So in its place, we are adding a 4-season indoor-outdoor dining facility that's adjacent to the restaurant and attached to the restaurant. And in addition to that, there will be an open space on the far north that would be totally outdoor open dining for good weather events. We are renovating the existing first floor of 25 North Main, and that will also include the 1-story back area that will house the kitchen and baking area that will service the restaurant. We will have new water service coming into the building, connecting where the current water service is, upgrade that for sprinkler systems within the building. And we will be upgrading the electric power with a new ground-mounted transformer. Does anyone have any questions or need further explanation?
I have a quick question. Is the restaurant on the entire first floor?
It will, on the 3-story brick building, it will be the entire first floor. The adjacent building, 19 North Main on the south side, that will be a commercial building. That's the 2-story wood frame building. That's being.
Is that what right now?
Excuse me, there was a little break up there.
Oh, sorry. Is that where the insurance company is right now?
The insurance company is in the back of 19 Main, yes. And it had a big sign on it, Homer Exchange Building, and we are adding a little covered canopy over the handicap ramp. It's currently in process.
Are you going to put
It looks
the Homer
beautiful.
Exchange building sign back up?
That, yes, I think the intent is to put that sign back up so it draws some attention to the building.
I guess I'm looking at your drawings here and trying to orient, even on the large drawing, I can't read what it says. And there's a dotted line showing, and I'm looking at the map that shows a large area, shows 3 or 4 buildings along, 5 buildings along North Main Street, just to orient where we are. And there's and at the top of my map is just the exploded version of what you're putting for renovations on the large, on a 3-story building plus the courtyard. Now the courtyard, you said you're doing a 4-season room?
Yes, it will be a weatherized space, 1 story tall, and it will have operable glass walls that will open up. So it's, completely free flow, indoor, outdoor dining in the good weather. And then the glass walls will close, and then it becomes a weatherproof indoor dining space.
Yeah, I'm not. Okay, you've got, and please bear with me. Your map has your description and that says, additions and alterations. I have that at the top of what I'm looking at, upside down, basically, because I want to look at it from the Main Street side. Does that make sense?
Are
to
you-
what I'm telling you?
The drawing you're looking at labeled L-01.
Yes, L01.
Yes, that is oriented north-south. So
Okay.
north is to the top where the 4-season dining is being added.
Okay, now that 4-season dining, I'm looking and there are, looks like 6 columns, 6 posts from front to back, and then 5 across the Main Street side. Is that correct?
Yes, and the area on the far north, that would be the first 2 rows of columns, that's outdoors at the very top. There's 2
Okay.
bays that are totally outdoors. And then the next 3, you'll see there's a line of columns that goes across the middle,
Okay,
essentially the middle. From that line on down towards the south is the 4-season portion of it.
is that what's designated as interior courtyard?
Yes.
So that's how many bays wide?
Be basically 2.5 bays deep.
Okay, and then, so you got, but it's the complete distance from Main Street back toward the river. 2.5 bays wide, all the way back. Half
Yeah.
of it, is exterior. The other half is interior.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the exterior, is that going to be glass doors also, or no?
Yes. The
So-
4-season portion will have glass panels that accordion fold
Right.
to one side, so it gives a clear open space. That's the
Right.
width between the columns and roughly 9 feet tall.
Okay, now I'm beginning to see, I see where they are. They're the big W's.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah. Those are the folding glass panels.
Right, okay. So everything to the north of that is totally exterior.
Correct.
Is there a roof over the exterior?
No, we are talking about putting in a mechanical canopy that will extend out and then can be drawn back to the building.
What is the distance of those? I'm not seeing the distance of those.
The columns are roughly 8.5 feet apart, center to center.
Okay, all right. So you're looking like a 16 or 20-foot awning roughly?
It would only go out about halfway, so 8 foot.
Oh, okay. So there'd be about half of that exterior would not have an awning over it.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And you should note that the extent of the addition north and south is roughly equal to what the original building was there that was torn down.
Right.
It doesn't go quite as far east as the original building, so it's a little smaller footprint than that original wood frame building that was removed.
It looks like you have behind that addition, are those trees, groups of trees?
Yes, we'd have a little area there for some planting and some parking.
You don't show much parking, like 4 parking spaces.
Yeah, we've relocated the transformer slightly, so we can get about 6 parking spaces there, including the handicap. And then on the other side of the building, on the south side of the building, there are roughly 10 parking spaces on the other side of 19 North Main.
Regarding how many apartments are there? Because they need 2 spots per apartment, correct?
Yes, there are 3 apartments on the 2nd floor and 1 on the 3rd floor, so a total of 4 parking spaces.
So that's 8 spots. And you have 16, so you have 8 for your restaurant.
Yes. And again, we're relying on off-street parking. There is ample space on the remainder of the property. It doesn't show on this particular site plan, but it's closer to the river. There's vacant area back there where people can park. And again, the restaurant usage would not be necessarily in competition with downtown parking because the time of the day when it would be the busiest.
What's the occupancy for the restaurant?
I'm sorry, what is the what for the restaurant?
What's the occupancy of the restaurant? How many people can be in the restaurant?
We calculate as many as 190, 195 if it were totally packed with indoor and outdoor seating, including 10 or 12 people at the bar.
Plus the staff. I think it's a great idea. I'm just wondering where everyone's going to park with the 8 spots that you have available.
Well, unfortunately,
I'm wondering the same thing too.
well, with the good graces of the village, there is a parking lot behind the village building. And when you are not in the offices at the village, there are some spaces over there that patrons may be able to use, but that would be totally up to the village to allow that.
Well, that is up to the town. really. The town of Homer owns that building, not the village.
Okay,
And
There's,
in
there's
our,
also court there on some evenings.
Yeah, this is Fran. Tuesday nights is when the court is held.
Fran, we can't hear you very well.
I had a little problem with my computer. I'm back on. I know court's Tuesday nights. I mean, I think we can, I know there's a concern about the parking, but there's a concern about the parking throughout the business district. I think, well, I'll try to answer any questions that Elton can't, but I think we can get this project going, and hopefully we'll address, parking issues can be addressed.
Well, I'm concerned about I think this is a fabulous idea, but I am concerned about the parking in the downtown district. I mean, is this restaurant not open for lunch? Because downtown is, those spaces for businesses downtown. I don't know. That seems like,
Yep.
that it's going to hinder them as well.
with regard to the hours of the restaurant, I really can't answer that. But the times I've been there, there seems to be fairly open parallel parking on the street, at least a little further north.
But not to accommodate occupancy of 100 patrons, even if you bring 4 in a car.
Yeah,
This is, I agree with Ashley. The concept is really great. I believe that our code does not allow you to consider parking that you don't control. Therefore,
understandable. Yes,
therefore, the town parking lot, unless you own it, you can't count that as parking.
understood.
And several years ago, when there was a restaurant in the old funeral home, this board was told that there was enough parking for that restaurant in the lot between what was the laundry building and the funeral home. There was enough adequate parking for that restaurant. In the meantime, more development of the building, which houses the dog groomer, and I don't know what else is in there now. Also, more square footage required more parking. And the neighbor across the street came and said, you really don't have enough parking. And that was before anything was really put into the laundry building, the two 19 through 25 or 17 through 25. Now you're looking at, so you've got, we got to be looking at the whole parcel of the square footage, not just this restaurant, but we really got to be looking at the occupancy of the former funeral home, the building at the back of the parking lot with a hair salon and 4 other businesses, which again, may not require, some of them may not require as much parking, in that I don't know what our numbers are, but so many square feet of retail, you need so many parking spaces. But when you start adding the apartments in, you're woefully inadequate with parking in that whole project. And I'm not sure, I don't know if these have ever been put on a consolidated deed, but if one owner is trying to put several businesses in, and you can't count the same parking places for 3 different businesses.
Understood.
And I'm pretty sure I've got to look at the county planning report pretty much addresses that. And I just don't know how you're gonna.
Well, I guess, Don, my question would be, if I could ask, how can he develop it at this point? Now, we've added more parking in the back behind 11 North Main. There is more parking. Dan created more parking behind there.
Yeah.
I guess the question's going to become, and I'll probably have to have some discussions, if we're going to have parking on site, right? It becomes almost undoable to develop.
And bear in mind, the addition that we're proposing takes up less square footage than the original building that was north of 25 Main. That's
Understand.
and
If
if we did not develop this indoor, outdoor, and outdoor dining space, we would only gain about 4 more parking spaces.
I find it hard to believe, quite frankly. I'm quite familiar with that property. If you could only get 4 more parking spaces without the outdoor dining, well, without the 4 seasons, without the 4 seasons in the outdoor dining, you get more than 4 parking spaces. There's what?
Possibly.
Yeah.
John, I agree with you on that.
And when that building was built 162 years ago or whatever, granted, you know, there wasn't a requirement, there wasn't a need for parking. And when it was operated as a commercial laundry, there was always plenty of room for parking because the employees were able to park along the side between the laundry building and the funeral home, even though they may not have, I don't know who owned the land at that time. There was very little foot traffic in the laundry, the dry cleaners portion. The trucks and everything loaded off of the Water Street side. So this is a much, and there was 1 apartment, I believe, in that building, maybe 2. But there was, I can recall when that was still operating as a laundry. There was not much intense use. Since then, even with the previous owner, he put the insurance office in the back. He put the 4 other shops plus the bridal or the salon in the back building. You know, there's just a real high intense use, and I'm not trying to say that this isn't a good idea. I'm just saying that really there's got to be some way to accommodate you, but we also have to be cognizant that we can't just throw the rule book out because it's a good idea. I'm really concerned about the parking with the scale of this operation. As it is, I can tell you that in the evening, the businesses, particularly the restaurant that's down on the corner of James and Main, a lot of their patrons, some use the village parking lot, but a lot of people are using the parking lot, which is owned by First National Bank of Dryden, and the parking lot owned by Yeaman, who has the Rheumatology Associates, and even in his vacant building on Main Street, corner of Pine and Main, as I recall, he has dedicated some parking spaces by the rheumatology building for his tenants on the building on the corner of Main and Pine. So, we can't, everybody be counting using the same parking spaces 3 times over for 3 different businesses.
Well, if you look on the drawing L1, you see up in the upper left-hand corner of that drawing, there is a survey of the entire property. And down, about halfway down on the right-hand side of that survey, there's a big vacant area that could accommodate some parking. I don't think we can get as many as might be required for this, but it does give us a number of parking spaces there. And, I would hate to have this project not go forward just because we need more asphalt somewhere. But we've got a vacant area there that can be used for parking. It's gravel now.
Well, I agree, asphalt, but I'm pretty sure that the code would consider gravel as impervious also. So whether it's gravel or asphalt is not a big difference, apparently.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I shouldn't be the only one making the comments, but I guess I'm going to do it anyway. The overall plan really needs to, in my opinion, the overall plan needs to include more parking before I would say yes to it. I don't know what anybody else feels, and I think that it should not be just whatever you're going to use. If DM3 controls 4.5 acres of land or 5.5 acres of land or whatever, then as long as you control it, you can then designate parking there.
And we can,
How can, well.
yes, we can develop that.
But for us to, I don't see how we can approve it based on, well, there's land available we can use. That's not a site plan.
Go ahead, Fred.
I think, Don, to answer one of your questions, comments is this, is that DM3 controls 4.5 acres up there. We do. The question becomes, to create additional parking will also mean, do we get rid of more green space? Do we knock down other buildings?
That, Fran, that's a decision that you would have to
make.
That becomes a business decision. Fran. I understand what you're saying, but you also, again, the next project that comes along only has parking for 6 vehicles and you need parking for 30. Do we just keep jamming them in the street?
I don't know. I'm concerned that what DM3 is. I understand we have about 4 acres up there. Dan has 4 acres. The question becomes, if parking's going to be an issue on every phase of his development, then Dan is going to have to make a decision as to what he wants to do with the footprints that's there to continue to modernize and enhance the development there if parking is going to be an issue on the continued development. And that's what I'm getting.
Okay, I'll give you another possibility. If you develop it with something that is not as high intensity a use, requiring a lot more parking.
And that becomes an economies of scale decision for Dan.
Well, I understand that, you know, and again, I'm not, you know, it'd be great if it's one of the things that happens in old communities. I'm sure he's faced it. If you want, you take a look at what happened downtown Cortland. I mean, you're obviously aware of what they've done down there.
I did it. I was there. I did it.
Yeah. Took buildings down. When when you're talking, and again, in a restaurant, you're talking potentially a high volume, but you're also talking a high turnover. And so if you're turning the tables, let's say twice in the evening, it's not that you got 100 patrons there. You've also got some sitting around there, and you got some waiting to come in that are parked there. So it's not a one-for-one trade-off.
Don, look, I appreciate everything you're saying. I really do. I mean, I guess the question, and I'm probably going to be leaning towards telling Alton, I don't want to see this get denied because there's some issues when you get a project site plan denied. I might ask that it be tabled so that we can have further consideration on the parking issue. But I think what I need to have a discussion, or Dan needs to have a discussion and think about, is when you're into development, now we're going to have to try to develop within, intensity guidelines, given that there's a finite amount of parking there and inside the village business district.
No, I might suggest, Don and Fran, that, since the trustees commissioned a parking study, I guess a couple of years ago now, which outlined many of these items that you're discussing tonight, that Fran's point of tabling this for the moment and perhaps letting the trustees weigh in with some of the information from that study, and to see if all interested parties could come up with a good solution to this definitely a nagging problem that the village has.
It's fine with me. I'm not anxious to deny it, and I don't know about the rest of the board members, but I'd be willing to. I don't know that I would say table it. We would postpone discussion for consideration in another meeting.
Well, I think that would be a question that Dante would have to answer. I guess, Dante, I wouldn't have a problem, however you want to go, as long as we don't go for a decision tonight until we can get this issue addressed more along the lines of what Dan Agner just said.
Yeah, I have a couple of comments. Just for the board's reference, the parking requirements in the central business district in particular can be waived by the planning board. I believe the county mentioned that in their planning. In general, though, for a restaurant requires one spot for each. Oh, geez, I just had it. The parking requirements for a restaurant are pretty onerous. I don't know if you've seen those, Fran, but it's based on a 75 square footage area. Let me pull those back up for you.
I think we need to meet the requirements, 83 parking spaces, something like that.
Which is, something the board should also consider as I don't know where 83 spots exist in one area besides maybe the schools. in general. But yeah, for a restaurant, you need one spot for each 75 square feet of gross. And as Ashley mentioned, you need two for each of the dwelling units. So those add up pretty quickly. When if we get to a situation where we do reconsider it, there's just a couple of things I wanted the applicant to maybe address in their site plan. They in their short form they checked answer one in as yes. I don't believe that is correct. If they maybe want to take a look back at that one. And then in the brief description, they mentioned that it's going to be a 3 seasons dining area. The applicant in their narrative mentioned it was 4 seasons. It's not really a huge point, but I did notice that when I was reviewing the application. And then the county also recommends that you put in actual measurements for the parking spots. The village requires them to be 20 feet with a 200 square foot area. So if that could be addressed for further consideration. As far as the mechanics go, it sounds like, the board just listening to Don's comment and the applicant, both would be willing to reconsider this application. So maybe we'll just, put on record that assent by both parties, the planning board and the applicant. As far as the mechanism, I think postponing consideration is the way to go instead of strictly tabling it.
Or what you can also do, Dante, if month to month, I can get a hold of you and say, we want to continue to have this decision postponed, and we can we'll agree to go on a month to month basis. We can do that too.
Yeah, I just don't want to run afoul. I want to kind of stay all the time periods for consideration. So as long as there's mutual assent, but from the applicant and the board, that works on my end.
You can do that on a month to month basis. You can do that. I think the point that Dan made is, I think it's a point it's concerning the entire village. And we had this discussion about a couple of weeks ago. And I know that the village and the trustees are doing this parking, I guess you want to call it research or plan, is that it's very, very difficult to develop right now anything. Forget about a restaurant right now. It's given the parking situation there, and no one wants to lose green space or lose buildings, but something needs to be done with this parking issue to address development. And right now it's becoming extremely difficult, and I'm glad that the village trustees are working on this, and we'll certainly work with them to try to get a reasonable solution to this issue, because we're not the only one that has this issue. And with that, I'll keep quiet.
And I can pull together some options on the parking on the 4.5 acres and see just what we can develop on that end of things. So we can, as Fran said, meet on a month-to-month basis and see if we can get this thing to a reasonable solution.
All right. Again, that sounds very reasonable to me. I would prefer that we're able to work with you, and within the confines of the rules that we have. I understand fully that we can waive requirements, but that's an area where I think we should tread lightly. For not just for this particular project, but for any project. When we start waiving requirements just because we can, we open up a lot more dark holes to go in than we really want to. I would, if the board members present agree, I would entertain a motion to postpone a decision on this application with the consent of the applicant until the next,
On a 30-day basis. That will.
until the next regularly scheduled planning board meeting.
That's fine.
So if someone will make that motion,
I'll make that
I'll make a-
motion,
Oh, go
or
ahead.
I'll second it. Whatever.
And we got Ashley and then Paula.
Yes.
Okay.
motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
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 All in favor. Very good. The motion passes. Then if Fran, you and Dan Egner, whoever else from the village can look at that parking survey that was done. It addresses a lot of stuff, but it doesn't address the immediate area, unfortunately. And we probably all know that people want to park right where they're going. They don't want to walk 70 feet, 120 feet. Just, we have, that doesn't mean they won't, but we see that with the school, with the helicopter parents dropping their kids off. But anyway, we'll let it go and look for more input, and maybe you can reconfigure some of the stuff that's on the land that you control. I don't know the legal implications of that, using those other parcels for parking. If you control them, I guess you can. So that concludes the business on the agenda so far. We only have one other item, and that is the approval of the minutes of the meeting for June 23rd.
No, that's one, but you also met twice in June and you never have approved the June 14th minutes.
June 14th?
Yes?
What do we
Yeah,
do?
I'm gonna sign off. So thank you very much for your consideration and the discussion. We will come back another time.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Okay, so we got June 14th and June 23rd minutes.
Yes, June 14th is the one where the Terry and Scott Field appeared, and DM3 appeared there the first time.
Okay, all right.
Joan,
Yes?
I just wanted to point out that my name is spelled incorrectly on the 14th minutes.
I think I learned my lesson on the 23rd. Because I
don't think
remember
there?
that. I have SCHIFILLITI.
Okay. That's correct. One of them had the wrong spelling.
How
Yeah,
about
because it was
the one on the
spelled
23rd, it's wrong.
There's it on the 23rd, it's wrong, yeah.
On the top.
Yep.
And it's also wrong on the voting, Joan. You got one L and two T's on the
Two
voting.
L's and one T.
I now have 2 L's and 1 T.
Okay.
Now,
So
yeah,
we'll correct her name in the other 2, and then, because I've already made a note of it now.
okay. So we have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 14 and the June
As corrected.
as corrected.
I'll motion. It's Paula.
And I'll make a second. It's
Ashley seconds. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Okay, the next meeting is October. What is it? I don't have a calendar in front of me. I do, but I can't reach it.
Nice shirt.
Oh, thanks. October 20th. I believe this is the next meeting.
That's the third. It's going to be the fourth.
The fourth one, okay. So the 27th,
Correct.
okay. Just for note that the next meeting is October 27th, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Nobody wants to go home?
I will
Donna,
I will make a motion to adjourn. This is Jessica.
and I'll